exciting. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to see you this morning. My name is Joni Parsons, co-creator of Rebel 11, along with Monica Smith. I am just thrilled about talking today about change makers, elevating women owned. Elevating women is something that was instilled in me from a very young age from my mom. In the 1970s, she was a single mother working and who was always working to support women. She had one of the very first copies of Ms. Magazine in 1972. And you can bet that I read that when I was like 10. We attended any and all women's rights marches. What do you want? Women's rights. When do you want them? Now. I still remember even to this day. And she even worked to elevate women running for office, which there were very few back then. This was all in an effort to move women forward. And of course, this led me to have an incredible impression about working towards elevating women. And here we are nearly 50 years later in 2021, still working hard and working towards gender parity. Building an economic engine for women is the mission and vision of two incredible women that we're going to be talking to today, who have launched an online platform for women to support women. And with that, I am so thrilled to introduce Kate Eisler and Susan Gates from the TheWMarketplace. Welcome, Susan and Kate. It's so great to see you this morning.
Thank you, Joni. It's great to be here with all these great people. I look across the Zoom and it's fabulous to see all of you this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
So Kate, you have such a diverse background. You spent years at Microsoft, you started a startup, and now the TheWMarketplace. What was your inspiration?
So, I always think I like to talk about working in technology for about 200 years because it kind of felt like that. and through my career, I, had the opportunity to be exposed to lots of gender issues and lots of women's issues. And then, I have hosted International Women's Day in Seattle for the last 6 years. And in 2020, when that happened, it was a few days before the shutdown. And so I just couldn't,
That's called Be Bold Now.
It is Be Bold Now. And after the shutdown, I just couldn't help myself. I thought women are being so disproportionately affected. We have to do something to put money directly into women's bank accounts right now. And so I looked around and thought everybody is online shopping and moving forward to staying at home. What can we do? And I thought an online platform for women merchants and service providers. Why not?
So tell us how it's dramatically different.
It's really a different platform for a couple of reasons. One is most striking is there are lots of women service providers, coaches and accountants and attorneys, and there's no place to find those unless you search through your network and ask your friends and try and locate those sorts of resources for you. So I thought that is really different. There's no other place for that. And we are networking, meaning we have a very broad ecosystem of women on our platform that work together, but we also then facilitate a sales platform. So it is an ecosystem of relationship building and supporting one another, but with an outcome so that you can actually, we talked this morning about hearing the cash register chain. So we allow you to actually make money and move your business forward.
That is so fantastic. So Susan, I know that the pandemic impacted you. How did you and Kate hook up? Tell us that story.
So yes, I am one of those statistics from the pandemic in that I was laid off from my job that I held for almost 7 years at the end of June last year. I was working for a nonprofit trade association that their income largely was generated through in-person events, training, education, and that sort of thing. And when all of that shut down, there was staff was directly affected. So I was laid off at the end of June, and Kate and I had already been talking about the impact that the pandemic was having across women's lives, and how we were, really feeling compelled to address that situation. So when the writing became very clear on the wall for me, we decided to, Kate asked me if I wanted to join her in this venture, and I said, you cannot stop me. And to answer your earlier question, Kate and I have known each other for almost 20 years.
Wow.
Actually met at another, well, it was a tech startup. It was focused on some language learning and testing online. And that venture did not last long, sadly. It was a brilliant concept, but it didn't last long, but our brilliant friendship did. So
I love that.
For almost 20 years and have just such a shared passion in gender equality.
That is so fantastic. I love how two friends are coming together to make a huge difference. So Kate, you started this so quickly. You had that spark of an idea and you just hopped on the chance to do this. Did you have a background in an online platform?
We both laugh about this. No, I actually didn't have any experience in e-commerce or online platform. I have the technology sense, and I've been around technology, but
Yeah.
I am not one to take no for an answer very easily. And when I sort of have a passion and an idea, I go for it. And so I had a team of tech folks that I had worked with on another startup actually in Florida. And it is a women owned and minority business there. And so I called them and said, hey, we've got to do this. And how quickly can we do it? And they said, well, we'll have a look at it. And I said, no, we have to launch by holiday season. And they were like, no.
No way. How do you do that? When online platforms normally take, years and years to build. So you did it in how many months, Kate?
In 3.5. We launched September. Yeah. So it
You
wasn't
women
too
are pretty amazing, right? When they come together, it's like, just imagine what can happen.
And this is it. The other thing that I'm really clear about is that we are not a technology company. We are a company supported by technology. And I think that that's a really important distinction, because what we are in the business of is promoting women's businesses. And so we want to be that baseline platform that actually does that. And so we make our technology choices to fulfill that mission versus this is a really cool piece of technology. And so that's a very big distinction in our business.
That's great. Thanks for clarifying that. I think that is really important. So Susan, we all know that women have been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic. How does that shape the TheWMarketplace mission and vision, or message in particular, about women business owners that are coming to you now?
So I think one of the things that we have seen since we started the business, like we knew that the pandemic and women being laid off and women, needing to pivot their businesses online and needing to have other solutions was absolutely the driving force. And I think that what we have seen over the last, let's see, so we launched the online platform publicly on September 29th of 2020. So we're coming up, I think, on our 6-month anniversary.
Wow, incredible.
What we've seen in that vastly long stretch of time is that, that there is this amazing energy and this amazing entrepreneurialism, and there's this amazing creativity from women across the country who we have seen women who have so many women who have started a business in the last 6 months, and they didn't know. Tina is nodding knowingly. And they needed a platform, and they needed a way to do this that didn't cost them, tens of thousands of dollars in order to build a website, in order to drive marketing. And they needed an outlet for all of this creativity and all of this energy and all of this entrepreneurialism. So I think that, the pandemic was definitely the impetus, and it has continued to drive the way that we have shaped the platform and providing resources and guidance on like what's the best way to get online and what's the best way to join us. And here are some tips on how to optimize your listings and all of the things that women business owners are interested in helping them grow their business. But I think that, it's really been just a reflection. The growth of the business itself, the WMarketplace, has been a reflection of this enormous energy and drive for women to not go back to normal as well.
Right.
Our previous world, I mean, many of us long for some of that normal, but there's some of that normal that was not good for all of us. But I think particularly women really, really resonate with that. As we all know, these social safety nets, the cracks in them have been so exposed in the last year. And that women are now doing 3 jobs and 4 jobs, whereas before they were just doing, 2,
right.
jobs and then caring for their homes. Now we're doing 3, 4, we're teachers, we're homeschoolers, we're doing all of these things. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to go back to normal. And we believe that the WMarketplace, with this ability to provide an outlet and an actual money in the pocket for women who have all this entrepreneurial and creative energy, is one solution to that. If you don't want to go back to, your 9 to 5 in an office with your 2-hour commute, and you're an attorney and an amazing attorney,
Right.
You can market your services through the WMarketplace and you continue your work from home. So it's all wrapped up together, certainly.
It's so phenomenal. So Kate, I know Susan's done an excellent job of saying why, it's so important for women to have their own platform, but talk about the gender parity piece. Like, give us that crazy statistic about how long it's going to take us to get to gender parity and why you're working to fight that.
So when I think about it, what drove me really fundamentally to even start the Be Bold Now, the International Women's Day, was the deficit in gender parity. So I started reading the World Economic Report, looking at that deficit for where women in the United States, because we tend to think we're very good. And the World Economic Report estimates that it will be 257 years before we reach wage parity and over a century before we have economic parity.
That's unbelievable. Sorry to interrupt you, but ladies, like, this is unacceptable. Excuse me.
You know what? I wholeheartedly agree. And that report is a third-party report. It studies 153 countries around the world. And I will tell you that America is 53rd. So I wanted that to sort of sink in for a minute. We are 53rd overall. And the only reason we are that high is because we have very good secondary education for girls. There's not a segmentation. We are 86th in healthcare. We are way below. We're in the 70s in political representation. We are way down in healthcare healthcare access to women. And so when I think about all of those things, I think, together there's no shortage of things we need to do for women, not the least of which is to work together. And so
right, to help one another.
Absolutely. We are 51% of the population in this country. So if we were to work together, we make over 85% of the consumer purchasing decisions in the country. So imagine if we were to be conscious and understand who to support and how to support. So when we talk about shop your values and we smile about it, it is really a driving force for me because it is economic values and it means a lot. And there is a lot of data behind that. And, there's a lot of, there's a long way to go. And I believe that we could make significant cultural difference if we started to understand. And, part of the site, just, in the back of everyone's head that's not been to the site, we also have partnered with a third party that looks at bigger brands and looks at their gender equity and how
And
they.
what's the name of that organization? Kate, why don't you talk a little bit about that, and then Susan will come back to you.
Sure. It's called Gender Fair. And the idea there is, when I think about that, harnessing the purchasing power and our platform is very meaningful and growing, but I'm also really conscious of the fact that women make those consumer purchasing decisions every day at the drugstore, at the grocery store. And so Gender Fair, actually, you can look up a brand of shampoo that you are buying or a laundry soap and understand if that company is gender equitable, if they pay the same rate for men and women, if they have family-friendly policies across the business, if their employees think they're equitable, and if they have representation through their board and their leadership of women. And those things are important. And so the more we can focus and educate and provide information and opportunity for women, that's my dream. And so, it's all wrapped up in that. And I'm really passionate about changing the world is kind of my, I think the WMarketplace
Gee, that's one of mine too.
The WMarketplace is a vehicle to do that, but I think that my real goal is create equity for everyone.
Yeah, and that is so perfectly put. And we align so well, Susan and Kate and you. We all three of us just align that women are the change. And women have the power to make that change. So just imagine if we all shopped our values, we could change the world. So Susan, talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what does shopping your values mean, and how is the WMarketplace fulfilling that need?
So, obviously shopping your values is going to mean different things for different people, right? Like different people place different weights on what's super important to them to support. There are folks who support, I want to shop locally. There's obviously been a large push to support Black-owned businesses in the last year, Black and minority-owned businesses. And, it's something that we are calling out through the WMarketplace as well. We have badges that our vendors can select to use on their stores if they want to call out that they're a part of it or that they identify within a particular community. So just giving shoppers and customers the ability to identify these different value sets that they feel strongly about, and to just make it really easy. One of the things that when Kate and I started talking about this business way last summer, is that we want to be that place that, if you go there, like the work has been done for you. For those of you who are in the Pacific Northwest, exactly. You're probably familiar with the grocery store chain, PCC. And it's one of those places that I love to shop because that when you go in there, they've kind of done the work for you. They've done the screening, and that they're their products will be organic and healthy, et cetera. And we kind of think of the WMarketplace in the same way. We've done that screening for you. You can come there, and everything that you purchase is from a women-owned business. Obviously, Kate was just talking about the gender balanced businesses as well. And we're going to be adding them to the site as well, so that when you come to the site and you take that purchasing power, you are supporting women, and you are putting your money behind where your values are. And it's just, again, Kate and you were just talking about this, and the purchasing power and the economic power that women do have. Let's bring that together, and let's use that, and let's leverage that, because when we come together, we're incredibly, incredibly powerful.
Well, and just think that 85% statistic that we as women make buying decisions. If all of us made that choice, even 50% of that 85% made a choice to support other women, think about what we could do. We would be looking at gender parity, elevating women-owned businesses. And, as we're going to be talking to Jennifer and Tina shortly about their experience, I've been a women-owned business owned my own business since I was 27 years old. That was a long time ago, but I am so encouraged by what you both are doing. And it's just such an exciting opportunity to tell the story that this is a one-stop shop for women to support women. So Kate, tell us about some of the, like, what has been the response to the WMarketplace?
It has been so exciting and fabulous, I have to say. Every time, I've run a startup before and it's hard. And so when I would try and explain, a technology startup that I was running in the past, it was healthcare, and people would go, great. And when I say this and I say, we have over 2,000 products offered today on this site.
Wow.
They go, what? And, that's the most exciting thing for me. Susan and I were like, okay, maybe we'll have 300 products at launch. That was our big goal. We can probably do that. And we had about 700 way back on launch day. And we have had, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 visitors to the WMarketplace to date. And
wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
mind-blowing, really, in just such a short amount of time.
yeah, as people hear about it, I think that we're giving them an opportunity. And I always, I'm really clear about the Amazon. People are like, oh, you're changing customer behavior. And, I just, the elephant in the room, I'm like, when we shop for things, there's not one store, there's multiple stores. And so I think that there is room for lots of different experiences. I think that we have an incredible experience. And as we talked about, Susan said, shopping your values and supporting women. It is, we are very clear on that's the type of business we have and we want to run. And the response to that, when people, they also say, are you in it to be bought? I'm like, no, we're in it for the long haul. Our exit strategy is to support women. That's our exit strategy. So we'll get out when we reach gender parity.
Awesome. And way faster than 257 years, right? Susan, so tell us about the vendor experience. How do people get involved? How do you sign up? Talk to us about that journey.
Yeah, so we have been very intentional about creating as low barriers as possible to joining the WMarketplace. You can go to the homepage, TheWMarketplace.com, and there on the left-hand navigation pane, there is a link that says, click here to sign up as a merchant or professional service provider. Mm-hmm. And it just takes you through a sign-up process that's really similar to other websites that you've seen. You do an email and a password, and then you go through a short questionnaire at the beginning that establishes that you are a women-owned business. And then at that point, then you proceed with setting up your storefront, and we'll be looking at Jennifer and Tina's storefronts here shortly, so you can get a sense of what that is. Once your store is set up, then you can start adding products. And it really is as simple as that. We have had, we recently had a vendor come on board, actually another jewelry designer. And I think she loaded on like 150 different pieces of jewelry. We never even talked to her. Like she's just wow, like did it like fantastic. This, like we turn around one day and it's like, oh my gosh, look at all of this beautiful new jewelry we have on the site. But we also do have a lot of onboarding documentation and support. So if you do need a little bit of extra help, like you're not sure what size your photos should be or how you should write your product descriptions, we have all sorts of support. We also have a dedicated team who is there to answer questions, to help you walk through it. We're also putting together a series of we're calling them Her Commerce. So it's basically a series of workshops that also can help folks who are really new to selling online to just really handhold them and walk them through one step at a time. So there's kind of a couple of different paths to getting online, but either way you're comfortable, we're here to get you started.
Well, two things. One thing is I love that you want to go after Amazon. That's one. And then two is that Amazon's known for being so difficult to work with. They're so large, there's no personal touch, and that is so different. I mean, you're running this business from a female perspective, and it is about helping one another from the beginning. And that's a huge differentiator, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, Kate and I talk about this all the time. Our whole team does that. The WMarketplace absolutely cannot be successful unless the vendors are successful, unless the service providers are successful. So that's the lens that we kind of put everything through, is how can we make everyone who's listed on the site as successful as possible.
I love that mission. I mean, that's certainly, you don't get that from a bigger organization. And that's one thing I admire so greatly about you and the WMarketplace. So with that, Jennifer, let's talk with you for a few minutes. Jennifer, tell us a little bit about your journey as an entrepreneur first.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Jen Cervelli, and I'm the owner and I'm the creative force behind Jennifer Cervelli Jewelry. We are women-owned and operated, and we're a small business located in Hermosa Beach, just outside of Los Angeles, California. After graduating college in 2007 with my bachelor's of fine arts in metals and jewelry from the Savannah College of Art and Design, I've gone to countless trade shows and events around the country, while slowly building my wholesale and retail to where I am now, in about 125 boutiques nationwide and a strong online presence. I'm passionate about cultivating a more ethical, transparent, and sustainable jewelry industry. All jewelry is 100% handmade with recycled metals, conflict-free precious gemstones, and promote sustainability through our green business practices. Our jewelry is whimsical and designed for you to tell your unique story. Jewelry can be inspiring, it can be powerful, and tell a story. I feel like we're living in a really powerful time right now. The entire world is experiencing a shift of consciousness. We're trying to take action, come together, promote peace, find new solutions, and support one another like never before. As women, we want better, and the things we want should have meaning and bring us joy. I was so excited to be a vendor on the WMarketplace because one of my good friends is on the Marketplace team. Thanks, Colleen. So I was introduced to this amazing platform before they existed once. It's been an incredible experience working with such supportive and positive women who are so enthusiastic about providing a successful and safe platform for women entrepreneurs. The WMarket team made it so easy to upload my designs and provided video hands-on meetings as well as a she-commerce program to walk me through the steps, which really helped make it seamless. Since the pandemic hit, 2020 was my busiest year yet. Customers are really showing up to support small businesses, especially those run by women. It was really perfect timing to join the WMarketplace platform and collaborate with such inspiring women. So thank you, ladies, for all that you do.
Jennifer, that's so great. I'm so inspired by you and your commitment to sustainability. That's something really important to me.
Very important.
And again, women are changing the world right now, and there is a big movement towards sustainability on a global level. And I really admire that you have that commitment. So let's take a look at your WMarketplace page, if we can bring that up. And why don't you tell us about a little bit more about your jewelry, Jennifer, and your page here.
Sure. So like I said, everything's made by hand. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see, I buy all my metal locally from, well, not locally, but it's from a store in Albuquerque, and they're a family-run business who's been around for a long time. And I buy all my metal raw, sheet and wire, and then I hand form it, solder it, do all of the fabrication by hand here in Hermosa.
It's just beautiful. I'm going to go order some right after this. So one thing that I really love, Natalia, if you could scroll up, please, is that you can go on and find more information about Jennifer. So if you go to About Us, you can find out about the vendor and her particular story and what makes her different and unique. And that is really meaningful to me because I'd like to know more about the people that I'm purchasing from. And the WMarketplace does a phenomenal job of allowing you to see more into their world and their mission and vision. Like, it really resonates with me about what Jennifer's doing. So I would choose to buy from her because of her sustainability mission, for instance. So, and then there's feedback, and then there's the listing, but you can go on to Jennifer's site and see all that she has to offer here. So thank you, Jennifer, so much. Anything else to add?
Thank you. I really do love how I feel like the women, TheWMarketplace, they really put a face to the business. So that's one of my favorite things, and how they really showcase us personally as business owners. I think that's really special.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining us today. It's so great to see you. So please stay on until the end in
Yes.
case people have questions. And Tina, let's go to you. Welcome. Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you.
So Tina, will you tell us a little bit about you and then about your entrepreneurial journey?
Okay, my name is Tina Sujak. I am one of the project organizer in Crafting Hope International. This nonprofit activities was born about 4 years ago when my daughter visited one island in Indonesia, Sumba Island, one of the poorest province in the area. So she told me she was so sad that she did not know how to help the women. She got the idea to make something from the fabrics that the women made. So buying from the women means creating jobs for them. It was in my mind for a while until I met my friend Ratna, is another woman, my friend lady in Jakarta, who organized a nonprofit that trained disabled people. She herself is a very creative handicraft. So talking to her, we started to collaborate. I could see the two ends, women in poverty and the people with disability. So we
Wow.
together can do something for them, giving jobs through empowering. So yes, so our nonprofit organization have now projects to empower people, especially women in poverty area, and empower people with disability. So yeah, I'm so exciting with the TheWMarketplace because that time I was like looking for what can I do with these products? How can I sell? So
That is fabulous. Well, let's take a look at your page on the TheWMarketplace. I can't wait. It means so much to me that you're working internationally and with people with disabilities. That's a double amazing focus that you have, Tina. I'm so impressed. Will you tell us about some of your products here?
so that's we are selling bags, some clothing, and some accessories. The material is hand woven by the women in the rural area. We buy directly to them without any third party because we have station over there that we deal with their women, and then after that we buy that fabrics, we send it to another city where my friend Ratna organized with the mute and deaf that make that bag handmade. So I believe that the products is unique because they are not
Absolutely.
only beautiful, a good quality, but they are also carry the meaning of caring.
Tina, like I said, I mean, these purses are just so beautiful, and I have to say they're really reasonable. I thought that they would be more expensive than that with, your commitment of giving back and helping others. I'm very, very impressed by the work. How has your work specifically helped the women in Indonesia, Tina?
Specifically, so the area doesn't have anything except making fabrics because the drought is so long, they cannot do farming. So one of the main commodity that we can help is through buying the fabrics from them.
That's
And they are
fantastic.
do not use machine at all. They are using like trees branches to make that fabrics. It's it's so amazing if you look at how they make their fabrics.
Wow, that's a story in itself. I with my PR hat on, that's an incredible opportunity for media moving down at some point. Maybe you and I can talk about that. I love that. Susan, with Jennifer and Tina, can you tell us maybe one more story about one of your vendors who's used the TheWMarketplace to launch?
Oh gosh, there's so many great stories.
Sorry to put you on the spot there, but I know there are so many great stories, and I think that it's important for people to know that you can jump on the TheWMarketplace as a new business owner and just be ready to go, like that.
Absolutely. So there is one that that comes to mind because we were just talking about them yesterday, so it's top of my mind. But so there's a woman who also lives in California, and she has spent the last year during the pandemic. She used to travel a lot for business, and she was always really dissatisfied with her luggage options and the way that luggage was organized. She felt like luggage wasn't made for women, strangely enough. So she decided, I am going to make my perfect piece of luggage. And the business is called Conmigo. And actually, if you go to the homepage of the TheWMarketplace, I think it's the first product under the what's new section. And she basically took a piece of luggage, took everything apart. She said, these are all of the things that I don't like about luggage, and this is what I do want with luggage. And she rebuilt it from the ground up. And now she has this amazing piece of, it's a carry-on luggage, and it's got everything from like a laptop sleeve that's readily accessible. Then that sleeve folds out and becomes a seat pad because she's a smaller woman and airplane seats don't fit her properly. So she's always uncomfortable on her airplane. Or you can take it out, and while you're waiting for your taxi to come and pick you up, it can be a little seat while you're waiting. I mean, she's just like, the creativity is so amazing. So it's like, and again, she's an entrepreneur and she's a designer, and she has figured this out, and she's like, I need a place to sell it. And for her to take her one product and build a whole website around it, and then have to drive traffic to do it and do all of the marketing, that's not where her passion was. Her passion was this design and the luggage. So we can take that piece off of her plate and allow her to just do her business, which is like the most fun thing.
Wow, I can't wait to look that up. That's so innovative. I mean, that's the beauty of, supporting women, is there's so much innovation out there, and you can just go to your site and see it for yourself. So I have a question for both of you. What has been the biggest surprise since you started the TheWMarketplace?
Oh, Kate,
you're muted.
It never happens. It's probably good that I was muted. There has been so many surprises in such a good way. I think the one thing I think about is two things. Our team, first of all, people have come to us. Our team is made up of women who have pretty much knocked on our door and said, we want to work with you. And that is fantastic, because we are a startup. And I will say, we have little funding, and we are pouring all of our money back into the platform and the services we provide versus into our internal infrastructure right now. Mm-hmm. And I am always amazed and so heartened by, we have a team of passion-driven people who are incredible in our business. So that is one thing that I am thankful and so excited for every day. And the other thing is I think that, I grew up in my career in technology where women tend to have bad habits and are not very friendly or collaborative. Mm-hmm. I am always surprised, because we have created a space and are very intentionally creating that collaborative. I could never design a piece of luggage, a piece of jewelry, or harness the craftsmanship that Tina has done. Mm-hmm. But I really am good at providing them an outlet for that. And I think that that's the key. And I'm surprised and thrilled with the fact that we are working together as a collective of women to, you know,
Yes.
where our strength is, and that's fine. There is room for all of us. And if we come together like that, we will continue to thrive.
Amen. That's amazing. Okay, Susan, how about your biggest surprise?
So I think that this probably shouldn't have been a surprise, but when we started, the business, you know, Kate and I were kind of very focused on, you know, we want to build a platform. We want to be able to put money directly in women's pockets. We want to provide an outlet for, you know, professional service providers to market their services, and a way for people to shop for women-owned businesses. Like, that was definitely like where we started. So what has been a little bit surprising has been this desire for community, and this desire for a friendly, supportive network that we have really we discovered really early on, and have realized is really the heart of our business. We started doing what we call our community calls in November. So the site had been live like less than 2 months when we did our first community call. And they have become monthly activities. So we just invite literally every seller on the platform to come to one of 3 calls per month, just whatever fits into their calendar. And these calls are absolutely the highlight of our months. It's where we get to say, how are things going for you? What would work better? What can we do better to support you? Do you guys, and our sellers had come up with the most amazing and creative ideas. They said like, hey, why don't you start doing this? Or have you guys thought about doing something like that? Or, hey, you know what you really need is you need a travel section. And we're like, that's a great idea.
Oh, great idea.
Let's do that. Okay. And it's just been, you know, it's an opportunity for them as well to talk to each other and form business relationships as well within the TheWMarketplace. So that's actually been another really big surprise for us, is to see the amount of business that has been done internally in the marketplace between our service providers and our merchants, among merchants. I mean, it's just seeing that energy and that synergy among the marketplace sellers as well has just been really tremendous. And we feel like it's really special. And it's something that we're absolutely super intentional about nurturing and creating space for and encouraging. And
I mean, that's a female perspective, right? I mean, we are, you know, we have that within us to do things differently and to make that choice to run a business from the feminine perspective instead of the masculine. And that will go so far as you move forward. And what I love about both of you, that you just saw this need and you jumped on it and it's like, we're doing this. We're going to go for it. And look at how much you've accomplished in less than a year. I mean, I have to laugh out loud. It's not even been a year yet. So you both are change makers. What would you say to other women about being change makers? Susan, why don't you go first?
I would say that I can't even talk. Like, I'm just like, I keep smiling because like finding the thing that drives you and gives you passion is what makes you a change maker, whatever that is. And I have never done anything like this before. I never even knew that I wanted to own my own business before like
last June, like 9 months, right?
But once my passion and my interest clicked in with this opportunity, go for it. I mean, it's been the most amazing journey.
And Kate, you are a firm believer, because I've known you for a while now, and I've watched many of your videos and listened to some of your interviews. Why not just go for it?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I have always, throughout my life, I have always been much more reticent to live with what if I had just tried that, than the risk of trying it. And I cannot really tell you why that is, but this was one of those things. I really thought, well, why not? No one's doing this. Even if someone were doing it, why not? And so
why not? I don't have any, background on online platforms, or why not just, throw it out into the universe and say, I'm going to go after Amazon. Why not?
why not? Because I think I was very sure that, as Susan said, my passion was there, and this is a vehicle to move that forward. And I really did see it that way. I do see it that way every day. And I will say, I still think, oh gosh, has it really only been 6 months?
Well, I'm just so inspired by both of you and our guests, Jennifer and Tina, as well. But before we move on, Kate, you've also written a book. Why not? Let's just throw that into it. But you wrote the book before you started the TheWMarketplace, right?
I did. I wrote the book sort of when my first startup failed, to be really honest. I wrote a book, and it was, I never really, writing a book wasn't on my bucket list. That wasn't something that I was going to do. It was as a result of being in a really kind of depressed, dark place, saying, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I felt terrible. My self-esteem was in a terrible place. And I started writing it, and, fast forward, wrote it, and it was cathartic to sort of say, oh, wait, maybe my life hasn't been that bad. And so, that's,
yeah, glass half empty or half full. How do you want to look at life? And I just want to say that, out of the darkness comes light. And so the book is called Breaking Borders. Do you have a copy right there you can show? Breaking Borders, a remarkable story of adventure, family, career success, and success that defied all expectations. Kate, so tell us about when you started at Microsoft, and you didn't have a college education, and you really started from the beginning of your career defying expectations. So talk to us a little bit about that.
well, again, I have to say that, it never occurred to me what I don't have. It always seems of what I can do. And that's how I've lived my whole life. And I am a risk taker, that's for sure. But I always step into it and think, I can do this. And so when I started at Microsoft, I was a terrible interviewer. I just answered the questions that they asked me really, honestly, and I'm shocked that they hired me anyway, but I did.
And how long were you there?
I was there almost 20 years, but 2 different times. So I started the first time and spent just about 10 years. And then my second tour of duty was about 10 years. And there were 5 years in between. So there was quite some time.
And you traveled all over the world for Microsoft.
I actually lived all over the world for Microsoft. And so when I was there early in my career, a man that I worked with was promoted and moved to Paris. And all I could think of was, that sounded like such fun. I want to do it. And so I went, I want to do that. And they said, great. How about the Middle East? And that was in the early 90s, just after the first Gulf War. And I said, the Middle East, wait. I was thinking London, Paris, maybe Sydney. Let's do that.
All those fun cities, internationally known cities that are glamorous. And you ended up in what Middle Eastern city?
I was in Dubai before it was like Vegas. And so it was very different. I talked my husband into quitting his job and becoming the full-time parent. We had a toddler, my oldest son, and he was most definitely the only non-working husband for thousands, maybe 10,000s of miles.
I bet. Kate, it's just such an incredible journey. I mean, that's just the beginning of Kate's story. So what do you want women who read your book to take away from your experiences, Kate?
So what I'd like to have them be is inspired. And so the book is written very specifically. I'm very honest about my journey, because oftentimes when you hear about women's journeys and their success, they always seem to be in the right place at the right time, or they meet the right person to push their career forward. And that wasn't my story. I'm very honest about the mistakes that I made and the choices that I made. And you know, the good, the bad, the forwards movement and the backwards movement in my career. And there was all of that in my career and my life. And so I would like women to read that book and understand that you don't have to have the right education, the right finance, the right network. And even if you have responsibilities, families, husbands, have the conversation about what you want, because you never know. I think that's the hardest thing. Go, you know, having the conversation with my husband that says, I really want this. And it will upended our lives multiple times in my life. It has in my relationship, but I want women to feel inspired to try. You know,
To
why
try.
not? Yeah.
Why not just go for it? Why not? And I think, you know, as I've heard your story, that you've overcome so much. Like you've made mistakes, like you referred to. I love the one about you launched a product at Microsoft 6 weeks before the company did. Like, you know, some of those things can be considered disastrous, right? But you overcame so much and you never stopped and you always continued to say, why not?
Yeah, they were disastrous at the moment, but
At
I
the
also,
moment, that's the key, at the moment, right?
and I also believe that, you know, taking those things and, you know, breathing deep and saying, okay, what do I take from that? Because I am not defeated easily, which I know Susan's going to laugh at that and go, I am very competitive and a little bit tenacious, and I don't take no or wait a minute very lightly. And that has been the driving force is let's try that again and let's do it. And it is, again, not to say that it doesn't completely devastate me at the moment, but I don't want to live in that state. And
Right.
I want women to read this story and say, oh my gosh, I didn't think about this. And I do think whether it's small steps or big steps, because there's plenty of small steps that every woman can take to say, this is a hard conversation, or I want to raise my hand and be more present in this part or that part of my life. And so, you know, we've talked about some giant moves in my life I made, but also in the book, I talk about very intentional, smaller steps, because sometimes one foot in front of the other is what's key.
Yep. And sometimes that's all you can do to do one or two or three things every day towards your goal, right?
Right. So.
Well, Kate, I am so excited, and I know my book's in the mail, so fired up about that. And I just want to open it up for questions if anyone has any. Susan, did you have something to add there?
No, I'm just saying hi.
Okay, hi. Well, let me just see here. If there's anybody that has a question. Well, with that, doesn't seem like I'm inspired. I have so many questions still, but we're going to close for today. I want to thank you, Susan, Tina, Jennifer, and Kate. I'm going to go into my day as a different woman, listening to your stories, and I hope all of you do as well. Your book, Kate, is for sale on the TheWMarketplace as well as other places, but go there first. And please, please support other women. It's what we can do to change the world. Thanks for joining Revelry 11 today, and have a great day. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.